Oh, hello, Dunkin' Donuts. Yes, you go. Here it is, me and my Dunkin' Donuts. Good morning. I am Kenny Polcari, your host of the party, and today is May 31st, 2022. And here's everything you need to know about what happened last week, what's happening this week, where the markets are going, and what you need to be concerned about. So here's where it starts. Another bear market rally takes stocks higher last week, right? The week ended on a real high note. Over the weekend, Fed Governor Waller threw gas on the fire, suggesting that rates will not be paused. They will continue to rise. Oil surges on the back of the European Union Russian ban, kissing $120 a barrel this morning. Lots of Fed speak this week and lots of economic data for investors to parse. And what do we have for dinner tonight? We're going to have the soft shell crabs because we are now in the months that do not have an R in it. We'll get to that in a moment. So look, stocks continued the rally on Friday that began, right? The rally that began earlier in the week ended Friday on a high note, snapping a brutal losing streak that saw the S&P kiss the bear, right? Down 20%, if only for a brief moment. Friday's economic data helped to boost the optimism. The Fed's favored inflation gauge, the PCE deflator, eased in April, going from 6.6% to 6.3%, something that is still illogical to me. Why? Because both the PPI and CPI were up this month. Yet the Fed's favorite index went down. That helped to set the algos on fire. And then the personal spending report suggested that consumers are spending like drunken sailors, which is interesting. Why? Because last month the reading was 1.4%. This month the reading was up 0.9%, which is down. Yet that's not how they sold it to you, right? The estimate was for a reading of 0.8%. So a report that comes up 0.9 is an increase. That's right. Try and explain that one to your kid, right? And on top of that, the personal income report showed a decline in income. Yet spending is up, suggesting that consumers are saving less and spending more, or worse yet, they're spending their savings. In any event, Friday saw the indexes put in a great day. The Dow up 575 points, 1.8%. The S&P up 100 points, or 2.5%. The NASDAQ, the biggest winner, because it has been the biggest loser, added 390 points, or 3.3%. The Russell gained 50 points, or 2.7%. And the transports added 300 points, or 2.2%. The issue now is that the market was very oversold. It was a short-term oversold position. The pendulum swung way too far to the left, way too quickly. So a snapback bear market rally is not surprising. Fears of the Fed tightening are causing all kinds of predictions as to when the recession will hit and to what extent. Volatility was up. 10-year Treasury yields are down, suggesting money is moving into Treasuries for safety. Oil is up, and it's up again this morning. Food prices are up. Housing appears to be tiring as mortgage rates remain elevated, at least in relation to where they have been. And remember, mortgage payments are up 42% year over year. The recent Fed minutes that we got last week causing confusion among investors. Did they say they were going to remain aggressive no matter what? Or did they say they were going to pause? Either way, I'm not sure I believe that we've even hit the bottom yet in the markets, right? I'm still in the camp that the market remains very anxious and will respond swiftly to any changing Fed headline. One day it's good, one day it's panic, one day it's good, one day it's panic, right? Depending on what the headline says. And speaking about headlines, yesterday, Fed Governor Chris Waller threw more gas on the fire, saying that he sees continued 50 basis point rate increases for the rest of the year. Did you hear that? No pause, according to him, saying very clearly that he supports taking rates past the neutral level, neutral being defined at 2.5%. And this brings us right back to the St. Louis Fed President Jimmy Bullitt's comments 3 months ago when he said he saw rates going to 3.25% to 3.5% by year end. Exactly where Fed members Waller, Mester, Daly, George, and Brainerd see them. So now you have to ask, which is it? Is it neutral or is it past neutral? And then what does that mean for valuations, for indexes, for individual names, for stocks? Is there more pressure coming? This morning, we're seeing the 10-year bond yield up 7 basis points at 2.81% on the back of the Waller comments. Volatility declined last week, falling 21% as stocks rallied, giving pause to the fear that prices would continue to decline. This morning, the VIX is up 3% as the week begins. Investors getting to parse through the wall of comments, and the markets anticipate lots of economic data later this week. Today marks the last trading day for May, so we can expect some window dressing, but not as much as we might get at the end of each quarter when report cards go out. So June will be a much bigger month-end window dressing because it'll be month-end and quarter-end. Economic data today is all about the housing price index. It's irrelevant. The Chicago and Dallas Fed surveys expected to show 55.1 and 1.5 respectively. Again, not a huge market mover, but a reflection of what's happening in those parts of the country. Tomorrow brings us the ISM manufacturing PMI report. Expectation is 54.5. That's down from 55.4. And the JOLTS job openings report, expectations are going to show 11.4 million jobs available. We're also going to get the Fed's Beige Book, which details economic activity across the 12 Federal Reserve regions around the country. Again, not a huge market mover unless, of course, it catches everyone by surprise, which it really never does. So it's really a non-event. It's interesting, non-event. Thursday is going to bring us the ADP employment report, where we're expected to see 300,000 new jobs created. Unit labor costs holding steady at an elevated 11.6%. Factory orders up 0.7%, a decline from last month's 2.2% though. And durable goods are up 0.4%. Friday brings us the all-important monthly non-farm payroll report, and this is also expected to show an increase of 325,000 new jobs created, or rather, I'd say restored. You do it as you want. Manufacturing jobs expected to show a decline of 16,000 jobs month over month, meaning there'll be 39,000 new jobs versus last month's 55,000 new jobs. Unemployment declines to 3.5%. Average hourly earnings year over year are up 5.2%, which is down from 5.5%, all while inflation is running at 8.5%. So that's a negative. We're also going to get the S&P Global US PMI, Services PMI, expectation of 53.5 and ISM of 56.5, right? Both still in expansionary mode, but trending towards neutral, suggesting a slowdown. U.S. futures this morning are lower following the bounce we saw last week. At 7 o'clock, Dow futures were down 206 points. The S&P's off 28. The NASDAQ lower by 55 and the Russell down by 19 points. Now, these are minor compared to the rally we saw last week, but speaks to the ongoing concern about what the story, the macro data, is going to cause the Fed to tell this week. The Fed is expected to begin reducing its $9 trillion balance sheet tomorrow, June 1st. New York Fed President Johnny Williams, St. Louis Bullard, Cleveland's Loretta Mester are all expected to speak later this week, so expect to hear lots of Fed chatter all week long. This afternoon, Joey's having lunch at the White House with Fed Chair J.J. Powell. I would love to be a fly on the wall during that conversation, so expect that we're going to hear more as the afternoon, as lunch ends in the afternoon, as the afternoon begins. Oil, which continues to be on a tear, is up 3.2% at $118.60 a barrel after trading as high as $119.42. Recall what I told you last week. Once oil broke through resistance at $112.80, it was going straight to $120 a barrel. EU leaders reached a sixth sanctions package against Russia. It's going to immediately impact 75% of Russian imports to Europe, and we'll see 90% of Russian crude imports banned by year end. On the back of this move, analysts from JP Morgan are predicting that we're going to see oil rise to $185 a barrel. So I guess there's no relief at the pump this summer. And natural gas, yep, that continues to push higher too. It's now up 130% from February. So don't expect air conditioning cooling costs to decline anytime soon either. But don't worry, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge tells us not to worry. All these rising prices mean nothing. European markets are all a bit lower this morning, with the exception of the UK, which is up about 0.2%. The German EU harmonized inflation rate, which is really the CPI, came in at up 8.7%, significantly higher than the expected 8%. French inflation jumped to 5.8%, another all-time high. Later today, they're going to get flash inflation reports from the broader Eurozone. Investors are going to be watching for indications and comments from the European Central Bank about the pace and scale of interest rate increases that are supposed to begin in July in Europe. So that's gonna keep those markets in check as well as investors try to understand what's happening on the interest rate front there. The S&P closed at 4158, a 9% jump in just 7 trading days, pushing right through resistance at 4100, which now represents some support. Official trendline resistance is now at 4276. So it appears we might be in this 4100, 4276 range just for a while. But with so much eco data due out this week, remain vigilant. Anything that suggests the Fed needs to move faster could see us test the May lows of 3,800 once again. A level that I think holds, but needs to be tested for a third time. Right? 3 times is a charm. If it holds after the third time, that's usually a very good sign. Okay, what are we having for dinner tonight? We're having soft shell crabs. Now look, the old adage says that you should eat soft shell crabs during any month that does not have an R in it. Thus, May through August is always a good guide, right? There are many ways to prepare them and many different sauces to serve them with. But today's recipe is simple. It's always a winner. It's easy to make, and your guests will fall in love with it. Okay, so also let's go to cost just for a minute. This dish should cost you probably about $100 to feed a family of 4 or 4 people, right? Crabs are $15 per crab. Pinot Grigio Santa Margherita is $25 a bottle maybe, and the rest is the butter, lemon, capers, milk, flour, and parsley. Should come out to about $100. You should be able to feed 4 people. Okay, so for this, you're going to need the crabs, right? You're going to have the fish guy clean and trim them for you. This is when you get them home, all you have to do is prepare them. You need whole milk, you need flour, salt and pepper, butter, capers, lemon juice, and parsley. Now you want to start by rinsing the crabs and then soaking the crabs in whole milk for about 30 minutes. Then take the crabs out of the milk, hold them up there, let them drain, let the milk drain out of it. Next, season the flour with salt and pepper, and then dredge the crabs in the flour, right? Shake off any excess and then set it aside, right? Don't shake it all off because it needs to have a coating on it. Now in a large non-stick skillet pan, heat up a half a stick of butter. When it's hot, add the crab shell side down and brown for 3 or 4 minutes. Then flip and repeat. Remove now when they're done and set them on a plate lined with a paper towel. Season them with a little bit more salt. Next, back to the saute pan. Add in the other half stick of butter and melt. Let it come to a medium brown color. Now add in the drained capers and the fresh lemon juice from 1 whole lemon. Swirl it around to combine it, then remove it from the heat. Stir in the parsley. Now place the crabs on a serving platter on a bed of arugula just for presentation so it looks really beautiful. Spoon the sauce over the top of all the crabs and then serve it immediately. Enjoy this with your favorite chilled white wine. You know mine, Pinot Grigio Santa Margherita. You can buy it almost anywhere. It's not going to break your bank. It's a great wine to have for this dish and so many others. You know, I drink it, I cook with it, I use it for everything. In any event, the day is just getting started. The sun is coming up. It's going to be a beautiful day here in South Florida. Hurricane season starts tomorrow, so we'll talk all about that then. Until then, take good care.